welcome back to my kitchen. I am, as always, very excited to have you guys here tonight, and especially excited because tonight's recipe was hands down the most requested recipe by all of you on Facebook, and it is one of my favorites, so I'm really excited to share it with you tonight. We are making Tater Tot Casserole. Tater tots were the center of the culinary world for my roommates and I when I was in college, and we kind of made everything with them. So after I graduated, I started playing around with recipes some more and ended up making this really fantastic tater tot casserole, which I can guarantee you has been oven's preheating, which I can guarantee you has been the hit at any party or dinner that I have brought it to. So you guys should absolutely follow along, make this recipe, and share it as much as you can because everyone loves tater tots. So what we're gonna do today is I'm gonna make this tater tot casserole, and I'm gonna give you all the different modifications that you can do for it. For the most part, our tater tots are not modifiable. They're the basis of this casserole. We are gonna use eggs. If you are vegan, definitely use your favorite egg replacement. It'll still work just fine. There's that powdered egg replacement you can use. It'll be great. Or you could use a dairy-free roux casserole start. So let's get started, and then after we get this in the oven, I'm gonna show you guys how to make one of my favorite salads to pair with it because life is all about balance. All right, so we're gonna get started with a nice big bowl here, and we are going to crack a dozen eggs in this bowl. I've already started them because I didn't think you wanted to sit here and watch me crack a dozen eggs, but that's all right. So a little fun fact about cracking eggs is that if you crack eggs on the side of your bowl, what you're doing is you're pushing the eggshells into the egg, and it makes it more likely that you're gonna get eggshells in your mix. But if you crack them on the side or the countertop, you're not gonna push the eggshell in as much, and you will not get as many eggshells in there. So try and crack on the side and not on the side of the bowl. All right, so we got a dozen egg yolks here. My goodness, we have a dozen eggs here. And what we're going to add to it is a cup of milk. Of course, if you are dairy-free, you can use any kind of milk you'd like. However, always remember the flavor of that dairy-free milk and what's going to put in here. We have some rice milk in here tonight. And we're going to whisk these together. And just make sure that it's scrambled well. You want to make sure all those yolks are broken up. This is going to be the basis of our casserole. There we go. So I'm going to teach you how to make this casserole in the oven because honestly it's my favorite way to make it, but you could also make this in your crock pot. You can put all the ingredients together the exact same way and cook it on low for about 4 hours, and you have a really delicious hands-off recipe that can make kind of while you're sleeping or getting ready for brunch in the morning. All right, okay. So next we are going to add a little bit of salt and pepper because our salt is our flavor enhancer, and we're always going to want to add those in to anything that we are making. There we go. Mix that just a little bit more. We are going to add in some 1 medium onion and 1 clove of garlic cut up nice and well, nice and little chopped pieces, and the garlic nice and minced. Mix that in really well. For this, I like to mix in after each addition because we want it to be really well mixed through and even when we put it into our casserole dish. All right, next we're gonna add in our fillers. So I like to say we're gonna do 1.5 cups of fillers. Today, what we are going to do is sausage and broccoli. About 1 cup of sausage, about 1/2 cup of broccoli. But you can do 1.5 cups of any filler you want. If you want to make this vegetarian, you can do all broccoli. You can change up your veggies and do mushrooms and spinach and anything you want. My only suggestion would be is that if you're going to use vegetables that are really high in water content, such as a zucchini, a mushroom, or even spinach, you're just going to want to squeeze a little bit of that water out first because you don't want the whole casserole to get soggy. So, like I said, tonight we're going to do a sausage and broccoli, and these little pieces, we want our broccoli to be in bite-sized pieces, right? We don't want them to be bigger than the tater tots because we want to be able to kind of take a bite and have a little bit of everything in there. So we're going to pop about half a cup of broccoli in there, and then we're going to do about a cup of sausage. Like I said, any meat will do in this. If you wanted to do ham or if you wanted to throw some bacon in there, you absolutely could. Just make sure, again, that it's in smaller pieces. There we go. Now, I'm sure that a lot of people will make recipes like this and tell you to put everything in separate bowls and mix it together. But I know that you guys know this about me by now. I don't like doing a ton of dishes, and there's no reason that you can't mix it all together as is, and then add in your tater tots and put it in the casserole dish. All right, so next and most importantly is our cheese. That's one of our big binders. You could make this without the cheese, but it just doesn't have that same salty deliciousness to it. So we're gonna use about 2 cups of cheddar cheese. This is just regular cheddar. This particular batch of tater tot casserole is going to my favorite group of first responders. So they don't mind eating regular cheddar, so they can have it that way. And we are gonna mix it through. But as always, if you are dairy-free, Boy Life is my absolute favorite dairy-free cheese, and you can mix that in just cup for cup. So 2 cups of any type of cheddar cheese you'd like. And if you decided to make this have more of a Mediterranean feel, like I said, if you wanted to do mushrooms and spinach and sun-dried tomatoes, and you want to do a little mozzarella in here as opposed to cheddar, it's totally fine. You just want to make sure you're using 1.5 cups of your filler and 2 cups of cheese, and it'll work out just fine. All right, our next ingredient, the star of the show, are tater tots. I would love to tell you you can use any brand tater tot you want, and really, you can. But Ore-Ida is definitely the best tater tot you can get. It's gluten-free, and they get really crispy and delicious. So I would recommend sticking with Ore-Ida. I've tried some other ones, and they're just the best. So go with your Ore-Ida tater tots. And we are gonna use a 32-ounce bag of Ore-Ida tater tots, and we're just gonna pour these guys right in here. There we go. And we're gonna use a nice big spoon, and we're just gonna mix it together. And you just want to mix it well enough so that all the tater tots are coated with that egg and milk mixture, so that we are not going to have any dry, crumbly tater tots on top. Oh, guys, we have a double tater tot here. It's like good luck. Don't worry, it'll cook just the same. Okay, so let's move these guys over. And we are gonna get our casserole dish ready. So you just want a regular 9x13 casserole dish. Thank you, Mama Paige, for this one. I think you gave it to me years ago, so thank you for passing it along. I still do use it. And we don't need to grease it because we have the egg and the milk, and it'll be just fine on there. And we're just gonna take it and dump it right into the casserole dish. There we go. All right, now I like to mix it around a little bit, make sure that everything is mixed through. Don't want any parts sticking up any higher than the others. And you'll see that it's almost liquidy around the edges. That's okay, because as it cooks, the eggs and the milk are gonna solidify and make it that tater tot casserole. There we go. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is make our topping, because no casserole is done without a nice crunchy flavorful topping, right? So we are going to take about 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. These are gluten-free breadcrumbs, but any kind that you like. If you want to use pre-seasoned breadcrumbs, you absolutely can. I just prefer seasoning my own breadcrumbs because then I know exactly what they're going to taste like. They're not too salty, and I can manipulate the flavor the way that I'd like. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add about 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning to it. Now I know that seems like a lot, but it's really the only seasoning that we're putting into this dish. We're letting all the other flavors take a hold here, so we're gonna do the Italian seasoning. Now if you wanted to make this more of a Mexican, Tex-Mex, Tater Tot Casserole, you could do this with a cumin or an adobo sauce on top and really give it a nice, bold flavor. All right, we're gonna do about 1/2 teaspoon of salt, about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and we are just gonna mix it right up. There we go. And what we're gonna do is we're just going to sprinkle this on top so that it's evenly distributed across the top. Now, whenever you do any sort of topping like this, whether this is in savory cooking like casserole dishes, or if this is going to be in sweet cooking, like if you're going to do a crumble, you always have to add some fat, or else it's not going to get that golden brown crispiness that we want. Now, I like to use olive oil for this because it's not going to add too much to the flavoring of this. I like the flavors just as they are, but if you really wanted to, you could melt some butter and throw that on top too. All right, let's get some olive oil. What we're going to do is we're just going to drizzle about 1 tablespoon on top. You want to try and cover it all so that it all gets that nice golden brown crispiness to it. Go. And now our oven is preheated to 375. Oh no, I think I'm running out of olive oil. We should have enough. Our oven's preheated to 375, and we are going to pop this in the oven for about an hour. Now, I don't like to cover while I'm cooking because I want this top to get really nice and crispy as we go along. All right, pop this guy in here. Set our timer so that we don't forget about them. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, now we're gonna come back and we're gonna make one of my all-time favorite salads. So this salad is a simple mixed green salad with a really, really delicious fresh grapefruit vinaigrette. Now, like I said, life is all about balance. So we want to enjoy that really indulgent tater tot casserole, but then also still get our greens and have a nice light balance. And that's good for our nutrition, but it's also good for our palate. When we have that really heavy casserole, we want to have a bite of a nice light salad to kind of bring us through. All right. Give me 1 second. I forgot to get extra olive oil. I'll be right back. Here we go. All right, now we can really get moving. So like I said, we're just going to use some nice mixed greens. This is going to be about 4 to 6 cups of mixed greens. Not too much, and really nice serving for 2 people. And what we're going to do is we are going to add some grapefruit and some fennel and some hemp seeds to it. And we're going to use the grapefruit as the basis of our vinaigrette. So, there we go. Let's move these here. Okay, so we're going to start with this grapefruit, and I'm going to show you a nice, easy way that looks really fancy to cut your grapefruit so that you can get those really awesome grapefruit slices in your salad without having too much of that rind in there. So we're going to start by cutting one side of the grapefruit, just enough so that you can see the bottom, and we're going to cut the other side the same way. A little more there. Again, we want to be able to see that grapefruit. And now when you're cooking with grapefruit or any citrus, if you have these leftover peels, don't throw them away. They're really great to flavor cleaner or scent cleaners with. If you want to use them as a scent in candles, these are really great things to have in your house. So what we're going to do now that we have both sides cut off, we're just going to take our sharp knife and we are going to cut around the edge and expose our grapefruit. And we're gonna do that all the way around. So we just start on a nice 45-degree angle and follow it around. This is only gonna work with a really nice sharp knife because we don't wanna have to really lean into the fruit. We wanna just slice right through it. There we go. And all these big chunks of this white part we are gonna cut off. We don't want that. That's the really bitter part of any citrus, but especially in grapefruit. That's why we can just peel an orange and eat it no problem, but peeling a grapefruit and eating it right out of the skin is usually a little too much. All right, so that's good. Now you're gonna notice that a lot of juice is in this. And what we're gonna do the next part over a bowl so that we can collect all the juice. Now this part I want you to be really careful with because we are going to be using our knife without stabilizing it on the cutting board. So really pay attention, make sure that no one's bumping into you, don't have too many distractions. You're gonna hold your grapefruit in your non-cutting hand and you're gonna look to see there's these little lines and that shows us where each section of the fruit separates from itself. And we're gonna cut along these lines and that's gonna be how we take out those nice little triangles of fruit. Betty's coming to visit. All right, so again, just at a nice 45-degree angle and just until you feel like you're reaching the center. And it's gonna come out. And there we go, there we have it. That is a restaurant quality slice of grapefruit right here, and we can pop that right in our salad. And we're gonna do that for the entire grapefruit. And pop those over there as we go. There we go. So what's great about, you could make this salad with another citrus. I wouldn't say lemon, that's gonna be a little much on the palate. You could do it with an orange, but grapefruit just has an inherent sweetness that is different than our other citruses and a really beautiful flavor, a really beautiful color. So we want to also make our food look pretty, right? So if we don't have that pop of grapefruit, it's not gonna be as visually appealing. And I know a lot of us get intimidated by making salad dressings, but when you're using all of these ingredients that have a ton of flavor, you don't need a lot to go into your salad dressing to make it taste delicious. There we go. And you're gonna have some pieces that are just smaller than others and aren't gonna come out as easy, and that's okay. And sometimes you'll have a little bit of this white on it left over still. Just pull that off. I have a very patient bulldog over here waiting for something, and I actually did give her a carrot today, so we're gonna give her a little bit. You want something, sweetheart? There you go. Ah, you missed! Go ahead, go get it. Go ahead. Betty's not doing well today with her coordination. That's okay. We'll let Betty chew on that carrot as we work on this grapefruit. We're almost done, just one more little slice. Betty loves to go eat her food on my pretty light color carpet, so thank you for that, Betty. All right, so we have all of our grapefruit slices in here, and what we're gonna do with this, what's left of the grapefruit, is we're just gonna give it a really nice squeeze, and we're gonna get all of that delicious grapefruit juice out. You're gonna get a seed or two, but grapefruit seeds are really big, so you don't have to worry about trying to fish them out. You're just gonna be able to pick them up with your hands and pull them right out. So just enough. You're probably gonna get, in a regular sized grapefruit, about a half a cup of grapefruit juice, and that's enough for a salad this size. If you're gonna do a bigger salad, then you're gonna need 2 grapefruits, not only for the juice, but also for the meat of the grapefruit. Okay, so we are gonna add the rest of our ingredients into our vinaigrette. and we're gonna do it in a shakeable container. You could make your vinaigrette in something that, like a bowl, and then whisk it, but I like being able to shake it up, because if it's in the bowl, if you let it sit, it's gonna separate, then you gotta whisk it again. We put it in a shakeable container, we shake it whenever we're ready to use it. So we're just gonna dump this grapefruit juice right in here. Try not to miss too much. All right. And we're gonna add maybe about a little bit of olive oil. I know that you're supposed to put more olive oil than your acid in a vinaigrette, but I like to do them evenly because I really like that punch of acid in my vinaigrette. So if you have about a half a cup of grapefruit juice, let's do about a half a cup, maybe an extra tablespoon of olive oil. We're gonna do a little bit of Dijon mustard. As we talked about before, when we're making a vinaigrette, we need our oil and our acid don't mix, right? We can see that they're two completely different colors. So we need to add something that's going to emulsify them, that's going to allow them to blend together. And Dijon mustard is my favorite because it really tastes great in a lot of vinaigrettes. But you could also use an egg yolk too. If you're comfortable with having a raw egg yolk, it's gonna make a really delicious, creamy taste as opposed to the more lighter taste of your Dijon mustard. And we're gonna do about a half a tablespoon. And then, even though the grapefruit juice is really sweet, it does have that bitterness to it. So I'm just gonna do maybe like a teaspoon of honey. I like to say, I just want a little squirt. There we go. And like anything, we're gonna add a little salt and pepper to it, just so that we can enhance that flavor a little bit. There we go. We're gonna pop this top on, shake her up, and we're gonna put her aside right now because we're gonna finish the rest of the ingredients for this salad. So we are going to use fennel in this salad. Fennel is one of my all-time favorite ingredients. It has this really delicious flavor, like an anise flavor, so in the licorice family. It's really quite delicious. And you can eat it raw for a really delightful crunch in a salad like we're gonna do here, or you could caramelize it and it almost gives you that oniony type taste. So to start off, we're gonna cut off the fennel prawns. And these, we do not eat the prawns. And I know it seems like a lot of waste, but keep these around because they're wonderful in your stocks. They add this really delicious full body flavor. So keep these around and separate from your garbage bin. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut it right down the middle. And like an onion, it's better to chop off the outside that's really fibrous and doesn't have as much flavor, and to lose that piece than to put that in your salad, especially your salad because you're having it raw. If you wanna roll the dice in a cooked dish, that's up to you. But in your salad, you don't want anything too tough and fibrous. There we go. Okay. Now, to get to cutting out the center part, because we have this nice little root in here, we are going to cut the bottom root piece off, chop the bulb in half, and then we're just gonna let it fall out like that. And we're just gonna cut out the pieces that have that leafy texture to them in the inside. And we're gonna do that to all four corners. Now this is a small piece of fennel, like a small bulb, so we're not gonna get a ton out of it. So I'd say maybe a cup and a half of fennel in your salad, and it will be plenty. There we go. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this really nice and thin. We have this nice light mixed green combination here, so we don't want these heavy chunks of fennel being in here. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna do some nice thin marks. Now if you wanna use a mandolin for this, you absolutely can. But if you just like to slice them nice and thin, there we go. And I actually might be getting more fennel out of this than I expected. So we might only use maybe a half, maybe 3/4 of it. There we go. You know what? I think half is fine. And you know, that is also up to your taste, because if you want a lot of crunch in there, you can add in some extra fennel. So I'll put these guys aside and I will be sure to use them for something delicious later in the week. Okay, so our very last ingredient other than our salad dressing is going to be hemp seeds. Now hemp seeds are a really delicious full protein seed. You can use other ones, but what I like about hemp seeds is they're so small that they kind of just blend on in. We already have the crunch from our fennel, so we don't need to add an almond or a cashew or a walnut. That's a really heavy seed. These seeds have a sweetness to them. They're really small, but they're sweet. If you don't have hemp seeds, you could use sunflower seeds. Those would be a totally fine thing to add in instead. And we're just gonna put in maybe about 1/3 of a cup. There we go. And we're going to, I like to mix all the ingredients together, then put the salad dressing on, and then mix it again, because we wanna make sure the salad dressing kind of does it all. Now I just use my hands. You absolutely can use tongs, but I just like to use my hands. And most chefs will probably tell you don't mix it in the bowl that you're serving it in, because it's gonna make your presentation a little sloppy, but I don't like doing dishes, so we're just mixing it right in this bowl. All right, there we go. We're gonna use a little bit of our dressing. Now we don't need to use all of this. That's way too much dressing. We don't want it to be soppy when it's in here. We want it just enough to coat everything. So we shook it up, and we're gonna use maybe 3 to 4 tablespoons. There we go. And it has a really fresh, vibrant smell to it. Like, it's making my mouth water just mixing it because of the fennel and the grapefruit, and it's really, really delicious. And once you're done mixing it, just take, make sure you take that fennel, make sure you take that grapefruit, bring it to the top so that it looks pretty, as pretty as we can be. There we go. And here you go. That's my favorite salad. There's no cooking, just nice chopping and getting some nice techniques done to make that salad. All right, and we did some nice Food Network stuff for you guys. I actually have a tater tot casserole fully cooked and waiting for us to share with you. Let me just get my trivet out. Okay, here we go. Here's the finished tater tot casserole product. Just amazing looking. We have a nice crispy top. We have our cheddar cheese. We have our vegetables giving us a pop of color. It is amazing. So if you are cooking this, just make sure that even the center, the liquidiness, the eggs and the milk have solidified. You don't want, if it's not solidified, that means those eggs are still raw. So I tell you to cook it for about an hour. But since every oven temperature is a little different, and depending on the ingredients we put in there, you may need just an extra 5 minutes. But you just want it to look like this, crispy and delicious and golden brown. And you can eat it all by itself, and it'll be great. You can pair it with a really nice, light, delicious salad. I have seen some people maybe take pulled pork and tater tot casserole and make a sandwich out of it. I won't name any names. He might be behind the camera. But tater tot casserole is really versatile. It's really delicious. And I promise you, you will not be disappointed if you make this. If you guys have any questions, you know how to find me. This recipe will be up on my blog tonight. And next week, I'm really excited. We're going to be making my grandmother's black bean burgers 3 different ways. All right? Have a great night. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And I'll see you guys next week.